And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Today I'm going to show you how to make a guitar strap for your Loog. So this is my guitar. Let's move this sewing machine out of the way. This is my my personal Loog Mini, which is my favorite one. And it also is from the cool collaboration we did a little while back. So here's my strap that I made. And I just made this out of some muslin material that I had. But you could use any material, really. You know, flowers, polka dots, print patterns, whatever you want. Anyway, let's get started. So later on, you'll be able to go on onto Loog's page and their website and download this cool printout here, which will give you patterns for the tip, for and this strap section piece. It'll show you how you're going to cut out your strap. Although this is only this wide, you're going to pretend it's this wide by however long of strap that you need, right? So you're going to cut those out, and then you're also going to be able to download some letters. Where are my letters? Here's my letters. Yeah. So you're going to be able to download some cool letters like this, in which you could cut out. I recommend that you, since we're going to use felt for our letters, good old felt squares from, I got these at Michael's. And so what I recommend is you use label paper. Hopefully you have some label paper laying around. It helps, because I'll show you why in a second. Okay, why don't we first cut this out? Let me grab my scissors here. Gotta cut out. I want to show you how to actually cut and fold your strap first. So I'm cutting out this piece right here. This is kind of the complicated part, but it's not really that complicated. Okay. Okay. So here's, we're going to use this to demonstrate how to fold the material. But I think first what we want to do is figure out how long of a strap that we're going to need. So let me get mine on here. Okay, it works. All right, so I determined that mine would be I'm going to hold this measuring tape to this little strap button right here at the heel of the neck on the guitar. Then over my shoulder, sit on this strap button right here at the back of the guitar, and it looks like mine is 53 inches. Yours might be shorter, yours might be longer, depending upon how you like to play your Loog, right? Okay, if you don't have one of these tape measures, you can always use a piece of string or something like that, piece of rope, and then you could use that and take that and measure your rope so you know your strap length. Okay, then you're going to get some material. I got this material that I already cut. What you're gonna do is you're gonna cut a strip of material that is 4 3/4 wide by however long of a strap that you need, right? Okay. So pretend we already cut this out. Okay. Next, I want to show you how to fold your material. See these lines here? These dashed lines are your fold lines. So we're going to fold those over. So dashed line means fold line. The red line means fold to line. I'll show you. I'm going to fold my paper, the edge of my paper to the red line. And then I'm going to repeat that on the bottom. It should look like this right now, right? And that's what I have here. See? Okay. Now, so what I want to do is, once I folded my material, I'm going to press it. I'm going to get my iron out.
Catatonius asked, does any material work?
Yeah, I think, well, you want to use a woven material. Like it's a woven cotton. If you use t-shirt material, t-shirts will stretch too much. But does that make sense? Like it'll give too much. So try to get some kind of just 100% cotton if you can get it. They usually have it everywhere. At Walmart, Joann's, Michael's. A lot of places have this kind of fabric. Or you could always cut up an old t-shirt, or not t-shirt, an old button-up shirt if you wanted to. So I prefer to just get a new piece of material so it's nice and long already. Okay, so we've ironed on, we've pressed our two sides, right? Like this. Now what we do is we want to fold them over together. So I've got my center line here, which means I need to fold this side to this side. And this is going to be the width of our strap rather. This strap is going to be 1 3/4 of an inch. It's a little thinner than a normal guitar strap, but then your Loog's a little smaller than a normal guitar, right? Okay. All right, so I'll show you this step now. I've got my strap all folded over and it's ready to sew. So move my iron. I don't want to burn myself. I'm gonna, it's probably a good idea to pin this. So when you pin stuff like this, you want to pin so your pins go out from this side. Does that make sense? That way as you're sewing you can pull them out this way, right? So I would put a few pins in here. However many you need. Fortunately I pressed this material, so because I pressed it so well, it's got a nice fold, so I don't have to worry about too many pins. I'm assuming you have a sewing machine, but if you don't, it's a good time to learn. And if you don't want to learn, you could probably take this to a friend who has a sewing machine and just make them some cookies or something so that they'll sew this for you. Okay, I'm going to start sewing real quick here. Got my little Singer sewing machine. That's how I started out, was on a little Singer that my mom bought me at Costco. Gonna do a little back stitch. And then I'm just gonna follow along the edge about 1/8 of an inch or so. So far, so good. Usually I don't sew this fast, but I want to spare you the boring part. Anyway, you get the idea. pull this out. Then I'm going to stitch the other side so it's nice and even. I'm using red thread so you could see it, but you could use whatever color thread you want. Thought red would be good because it matches my red guitar. Alright, let's turn this around. Sew the other side. Sew a few stitches forward and then you hit the reverse button and you back stitch. This locks the stitch. If you want to learn more about sewing, you can always go on YouTube and look up some sewing tutorials. There's so many now. That's probably enough. Okay. I'm just going to cut this off because we're just doing a demo strap right now.
Loog Guitars UI said, please tell the story about how you made Meg White's stool.
Oh yeah, so I love the white stripes. Who doesn't, right? So I heard they were coming to town, and I always liked how the white stripes dressed. They always had cool red and white outfits, and their drums had like a candy thing on them, like the what do you call those candies? Peppermint. Those peppermint candies, yeah. So I heard they were coming to town, and since I'm a musician too, I thought, well, I like to make stuff for my friends who are in bands, like guitar straps for my friends. So I thought, I'm going to make Jack one of my guitar straps with a stripe on it. And then I thought, well, I got to make something for Meg too. So I thought, well, Meg is playing drums. What if I do I could do a drum seat for her. So I found out what kind of drum seat she uses, and I went to Guitar Center, and I bought a drum seat, and I took it apart, and I sewed for her a white seat with red peppermint candy pattern, and I put her name on the back. And if you look it up on Google, you can find it, but it's not very easy to find because there's not a lot of pictures of behind the drum set, but it's on there. Anyway, I was excited because they liked the stuff I made for them, so that was really fun, and they used it for the whole time they were together. So that was pretty nice, you know. Okay, I've got my mock-up of my strap. Now let's talk about the tips. The tips are going to be this part right here. So what I did was I traced this pattern onto my material, and I cut it out and I pinned it. But before I pinned it, I want you to look at this part. See this? There's these holes right here, these dots. These are going to be where we are stitching along this dotted line, and each one of these dots is a pivot point. I'll show you in a second. So what you want to do is sew on this line. Sometimes it's good to even mark it on your material. I like to mark it on my material with a pencil or maybe a pen, but pen kind of runs, so probably just use a pencil. Anyway, so I've cut out my material, I've got my lines, now I'm going to sew the tip. We're going to make two tips, one for the back and one for the front. Remember to back stitch after you start stitching. Move my pins. Okay, so when I get to that first little dot, this dot right here, I pick up this lever on my machine and I pivot. I turn the material so that my line's going this way now again. So to the next dot, and then I pivot and sew some more to the next dot. Sometimes you could walk the machine with your hand like this. for more control. Pivot. We're almost done. Do a little back stitch. Okay. Here's what the tip looks like now. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. You want to have the bad side of the material, the wrong side, out. So you know how there's a good side and a bad side? You'll have the bad sides out and the good sides in towards each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim away some of this seam allowance here so that I'll get a crisper seam. I'll show you what I mean. Trim that, I don't know, about that much. Not too far, but not too. Okay, so there's what I have, right? And then what I want to do is I want to get to this step. So I take this and I turn it right side out because it was inside out, right? And sometimes it helps if you have a chopstick or like a pencil or something. So you kind of poke, use a chopstick or some kind of stick. Use a pen with a cap on. See, I'm poking my corners to keep that cool shape. There, look, it's like a little sock for a doll. Okay, now what I want to do is, there's another part here. See this one? It's a canvas reinforcing thing. So that our strap doesn't rip at the end, we use a little piece of canvas. If you don't have any canvas, you might be able to recycle an old tote bag or something that's kind of, doesn't stretch, something that's a little bit, you could even probably use something like an old pair of jeans, right? So you want to get that little piece of canvas and you want to, I have tweezers here. You want to slide this in here like this. Oh, I ironed this so it was a little more crispy. So you might want to press that after you sew it. So I tucked my canvas in there, right? Then the next step is to get out the iron and fold this end over like this and press it. And there's a tip. I just gave you a tip on how to make the tip. Okay. What's the next step, you're asking me? Well, the next step is we want to attach. We're going to attach the tips. I've never done this before, so this is fun. Okay, let me show you something fun here. Okay, so here's our strap, right? And here's our tip. I think that so that we have a nice clean seam, we're going to put this in here like this, right? And then we're going to fold this over like this. Oh wait, no. Yeah, watch. I've never had to explain this. Okay, so we've got our strap and our tip, and we do this, right? Put the end of it inside this fold. Then we're going to fold it over like this. See that? I think this is called, my sewing friends will know what this is called. I think it's called a flat felled seam. I think. It's like on the back of your Levi's. You know, on the back of your jeans, you have that thick seam so that your pants don't split open. That's basically what we're going to do here, so that we don't have any raw edges now, right? So I'm going to try to keep that together as best we can. Come You can even pin it if you want. Let's pin it. Pin it to win it. Okay. Get this in the machine here. I like to hold the thread before I start sewing. This is going to be a little bit thicker than you're used to because I've got more material. I like to use a jeans sewing needle. It's a little bit more heavy duty. Okay, got that part. Now pivot. And I'm doing a double seam line on the ends. It helps it stay together better. Just like the back of your Levi's, you should have a double stitch line on the back of your Levi's. Come on, Betsy. She's saying this material is kind of thick when I pulled it this many times. There you go. All right. Trim my thread. Right. Look at that. It's looking pretty pro, right? Nice and strong too. And so we need to make a hole, don't we? And I've made a template for that purpose. This one right here, it has, what you're gonna do is we're gonna fold the material like this, right? Oops. Like this. Okay. And then we're gonna cut it about that much. What we want to do is we want to make a slit in here that's big enough to fit over our strap button. Like that. So let's try it. I fold my material kind of where it starts to V, right? Like this, an upside down V. Alright, and I'm going to give it a little snip. I need a little bit more. And try to stay away from this side, try to come in this side more. Alright? So there's more material at the bottom. That's really good. That's about a 1/2 inch. Guitar and well, you know how to do this part, right? Yeah, see? It works. And now if you want to make this a little bit stronger, you could even go back and stitch that by hand, like a buttonhole on your shirt. Because basically this is like a button, right? So just look at your shirt and how they did it, right? Okay, now that we've got our strap sewn, we want to decorate it. So I'm going to move my machine out of the way over here. And I am going to get my letters, which, here's the letters. We're going to have all this available for you to download as a PDF later. I separated mine because Okay, so this is a fun little trick for cutting out felt. I print these letters on label paper, right? And I stick them down to my felt. And smush it down like you would a sticker. Get it nice and smooshed on there, right? And do a little rough cutting. Cut it down smaller like this so you can control it more easily. And then cut out separate each letter so you have a rough cut like this. Okay? The beauty of doing it this way is that when you cut along the label, you get a nice, smooth, sharp cut. No tracing or messy markers to deal with. What was that? Okay. There. And now just carefully pull off the label paper. I've got an L. Now. Wow. That was loud. I love it. So if you have an X-Acto knife, it's probably a good idea. Will you please hand me the X-Acto? Ouch, thank you. So when I have like a letter like an A and I want to cut out the middle of the A, I just get my X-Acto knife and on my cutting mat and I cut it out. But be careful. If you're younger, ask your parents to help you. Sometimes it can be stubborn. Oh, can we all be? There you go. Ah, pretty close. Obviously, I would take a little more time if I wasn't on the Instagram right here. But you get the idea. Okay, I've got my A. I've got to do my P. Where's my P? There's my U. There's my P. Let's see if we can do it without an X-Acto knife. What you could do is fold this P like this and carefully cut through the fold like this. And once you cut through, then you can just use your scissors to clip out the hole in our P. Like this. Not quite as clean, but good enough, I think. Get our U. Okay. P-A-U. Uh-oh. I lost my L. There's my L. Okay. Pretty good trick, huh? This will help you a lot in the future when you want to make more things with felt. I'm going to set these aside. I want to do, I'm going to do a flower and a heart. So I'm going to get different colors of felt. I'm going to do a yellow heart and a blue flower. The flower is kind of hard to cut out, but we'll try. Does anyone have any questions? I got a flower. Okay, there's my heart. I got a heart. Oh, I need a, what do you call the middle of the flower?
Ratiha said, I want to see how you stitch those to the strap.
Oh, the letters? Yeah, okay, I'll do it. On mine, I took the easy way out and I glued them because it didn't really matter. But sure, I could show you how I sew them down. Let's get my center of my flower. Okay, I've got everything cut out. Get my strap. This is the front. No, wait. Yeah, this is the front side because the back side, well, you could pick whichever side you like, but this is going to be my front. I'm going to get my, oh, this is another important thing to remember. What we want to do is put our strap on and then get our strap on. And then we want to go, it helps if you go like in front of a mirror. Like go in front of the, whatever, whichever mirror you like. And what you want to do is you want to figure out where is your name going to go. Because if you put your name too high, it's going to, like if I put this too high, it's going to say all. My name's not all, it's Paul. So I want to make sure I get my letters in the right place. So I want to figure out in the mirror. I'm pretending there's a mirror right now. I'm going to say, oh, my flower goes here. And think about when you're rocking out, it'll move too. It'll be like, you could be like jamming, you know, and it's like goes up this way. So I might have put this a little bit too high. So you kind of want to figure out from like where this part of your guitar is right here to where your top of your shoulder is. And that's sort of where you want to center the whole group here. That makes sense, right? Okay. Got my strap. I like to use glue, like maybe super glue, or you could use a fabric glue. I would say use fabric glue because super glue can get a little bit messy and it makes your fingers stick together. So just try to get a, you could use Elmer's glue. You just have to wait for it to dry. What's cool about doing flowers is you only have to glue them in the middle, right? And then the little petals can kind of do this. I like to leave a little bit of space between my letters. Maybe like 1/4 inch or maybe 3/8 of an inch. You could, you'll find your favorite. I like that song. Okay.
Someone asked glue gun.
Yeah, you can use a glue gun. Just be careful not to put too much glue because the glue will like leave a thick bead and it'll be lumpy when you go to sew over it. So just use a tiny, tiny bit. A tiny bit. I used to use glue when I was making my wallets when I first started sewing, and that's where I learned. Because it would get lumpy. Okay, get my sewing machine. I'm going to pretend this is glued down because we don't have time to wait for glue to dry. Okay. When you're sewing small stuff like this, you're going to pretty much be using this more than your foot. So you get your needle started, and you kind of just roll, this thing like this, and follow your letter.
Zipperhead by Tony asked, what about cleaning or washing your strap?
Cleaning, oh well, I would just get some Dr. Bronner's, like a light dish soap, with water, and just like hand wash it, rinse it out really well. If you're using printed fabric from the fabric store, sometimes you want to wash that first because fabric has something called sizing, like a chemical to make it look nicer, but you might not want as many of those chemicals. Also, if you iron material that hasn't been washed yet, more fumes come off, so you kind of want to wash your fabric. But yeah, just washing, you could use a gentle, even a diluted detergent would work okay, but I just think that dish soap is fine, it's not like we're not washing our prom dress, we're just washing the strap. So
Rotihas asked, what song is that?
That song is called I Like Kites by Free Design. They were like a vocal group from the late 60s, and we used their music in some of our cartoons that we made. There's an episode we did where Julius and his friends go to the city of Lost Kites. I think you could see it on YouTube. So just follow your letter along the outside edge, or within the outside edge here, and you pivot at each point, right?
J Furrow 1 asked, what was your favorite band in high school?
My favorite band in high school was the Stray Cats. I loved the Stray Cats, and then I started to like the Who. But I think all those, the Stray Cats were like a retro band, like they dressed like the 50s, and that made me want to dress like the 50s. So I think growing up at that time, I got a lot of inspiration from the bands that I liked, how they dressed. There, I sewed my P. You can barely see it, but can you see that? Usually I would use a white thread, so there's a little bit of contrast, but you can use whatever color thread you want. Pretty cool, huh? It looks good when you sew it down. And I could, then, I would just put on the rest of my things here.
Which band influenced you most?
Which bands influenced me the most? I think the Who and the Rolling Stones and Buck Owens, the Beach Boys, Link Wray, Eddie Cochran, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings. Is that good? I've been playing the guitar since I was like 14, so that was like 1982, something like that. I was lucky because my mom was really into me playing music, so I've been playing for a long time, and I think music has really taken me in a path in life that helped me be creative and make fun things that people like. Okay, so does that make sense, how to sew a strap now?
Someone asked, which guitars do you own?
Oh, I like, besides my Loog, I like Fender guitars. I grew up liking Fender. I thought something about Fender is really cool because it was like, I like surf music, you know, like music that was, also the country people use Fenders too. So like I have a Stratocaster, a Telecaster, a Jazzmaster, a Jaguar. I have 3 Loogs. Those are my favorite guitars. What else? This is my first... I'm wondering what else we could talk about. We've sewn our strap. Let's talk about why I like the Loog guitar. I like Loog guitars because they're tuned to like a regular guitar. So if you could play like a D chord on a regular guitar, you could play it on a Loog, or the other way around. So for kids, this is a really great way to learn. There's no weird, like a ukulele is funky because it's all these weird finger positions, and it's not the most comfortable thing to play. These are really comfortable to play. I remember being a kid, and we had an acoustic guitar, but I couldn't figure out how to play this big acoustic guitar. I was just a little kid, so this is going to make music way more accessible for kids and for adults. I think it's just fun, you know. There's chord charts. It comes with a chord chart, so like, you know, if you want to play one of your favorite songs, it's not too hard to learn these chords. And then if you're a kid, if you learn how to play this, it's easy to play the guitar when you grow up and get a big guitar. So I learned this cool little bar chord on here. So this is D, open D. This is A. No, wait. This is G, right? And then so you bar this string and this string, the bottom 2, and then on the top you use your second finger and 1 fret over. And with this chord, you can go. Anyway, are we running out of time? How much we got? Oh, we're over. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. I know we went over a few minutes, but who cares? We're having fun. We're going to have all these available for you to download. The letters and the templates. And go to get your fabric and your scissors and your glue and your thread. And anyway, thank you, Loog, so much for having me, and also for allowing me to have my own signature collab guitar. This is really cool. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and stay safe and wash your hands and rock on. See you later.